morning, guys. Just want to show you what's going on in our household this morning. Oh, wait, look at what my daughter's playing with. That's what's been the necklace. She really likes dinosaurs too. It's supposed to be a towel holder that you hang in the bathroom. It's like a necklace for dinosaurs. It could be anything. It also shows that we haven't hung our... Is that the towel holder that we haven't hung, or the one that keeps falling off the wall? The one that keeps falling off the wall. We've hung it like so many times it keeps falling off. So and now Liberty's playing with it, which doesn't feel very safe, but that's what's happening this morning. All right, guys. So listen, if you went to sleep last week and then you woke up this Monday, guess what? You're still up to date with the news because we're still in a government shutdown. It's not funny, but it's like we're still in the same place. I was checking in on Twitter this morning to see what the president was talking about. And he mentioned that, a deal could be done in 15 minutes. He still wants a wall. He said that the Democrats are in Puerto Rico, which I wanted to check into. And it turns out that a group of Democrats are in Puerto Rico, but I think it's worth mentioning that that doesn't mean they're laying on a beach in Puerto Rico while a huge winter storm hits the United States. Oftentimes, Congress men and women get to do these travel for, different off-site retreats, and this looks to be part of it. It just so happens that this is also the opening weekend for Hamilton on Puerto Rico, on the islands of Puerto Rico, and that's to raise money for storm recovery there. So anyways, everyone's going to be back at work this week, probably sometime today, as lawmakers tend to fly in on Mondays, although some of them got caught because it was snowing in Washington, D.C., and they couldn't get back. Regardless, the issues haven't changed. The same issues are there. Democrats say they want the government reopened temporarily, just so that they can continue negotiating. The president said he doesn't want that because he loses leverage, but now Senator Graham, the Republican from South Carolina, says the president should open the government just for a week or two or three, have a deadline, and try to continue negotiations. In the meantime, I don't know if that would happen, but you're hearing some Republicans say that. So one wonders, what is the pressure that the president is receiving from Republicans to get this government open? Democrats say they want technology. Instead of a wall, a physical barrier, they want technology. The president says he does too. He still wants a barrier. And remember, part of the barrier is not necessarily just to keep people out. Border Patrol says it slows them down so that then they can apprehend the people that are coming across the border. So there you go. I'll let you know if anything changes. Right now, shutdowns seem to be kind of like a theme because the LA school district, the union there, the teachers union, is on strike today. But the schools are open. And interestingly, the schools need to stay open so they get the funding, so they continue to get funding. And they actually provide a lot of meals for students. The superintendent says 1 million meals. So students are still going to school there, even though the strike is taking place, and teachers say that they're striking because of class size and they would like to get paid more and they want more resources. But as we know, all the things we talk about on a regular basis, education is pretty far down the list. That's just the way it is. That's not because it's a good thing. It just happens to be the conversation. I know you guys have said in the past that you'd like to hear more about education. I'd love to hear what you'd like us to cover because I do think it's an undercovered area in the news. So that's a little bit about what's going on with the governments today around the country. Watch the LA school district strike, though, because it is a big school district. And, if the strike is effective, would other school districts take up a similar fight when their contract negotiations are up, the school unions? Okay, so that's what's going on there. A couple other stories I think are worth mentioning. Let me sit down here. My arm's getting tired. I need to work out more. I mean, honestly, that's what's happening. Got a lot going on behind me here. A lot happening. So this weekend, we heard from more Democrats are running for president. Did you see that? Tulsi Gabbard from Hawaii, 37 years old, Democrat, says she's going to officially announce this week. You had Julian Castro, former mayor of San Antonio, who also worked in the in the cabinet for President Obama say he's going to run for president. He did that in San Antonio. You have John Delaney, a former congressman from Maryland, did a big interview this weekend. He announced last year, and he's visited Iowa and New Hampshire so many times. He has a strategy that he thinks is going to work. But remember, all of these candidates or potential candidates have to earn the Democrats' nomination. So we'll see what, and that comes with a lot of money and support. So some say this field could get up to 30 candidates. And they're starting now 2 years before, really almost 2 years before the election, because they get their name out there, get name recognition. For some, it's going to be a strategy just to elevate their profile and maybe become part of an administration down the line. For some, they really want to be president. And it was interesting. I read an article, I put it on the site today. A Democrat strategist said, if you really look in the past, an unknown, he's over there, baby, in the kitchen. If you look at the past, unknown Democrats, whether it's Bill Clinton, Jimmy Carter, Barack Obama, have earned the nomination. So we should pay attention to, just because we don't know the name now doesn't mean we won't know the name and they won't take to the stage to get the Democrat nomination. So just keeping an eye on that. I don't want to go too deeply in their issues yet because we don't know how serious some of them are. And I just kind of want you to know the names as they come up. So I think that's important. And then finally, you guys, the Chrysler Building is for sale in New York City, right? The Chrysler Building, very close to the Empire State Building, the iconic city skyline. No one knows exactly how much the sale price is, but the group that owns it now, which is basically an investment group from the Middle East and a major real estate developer in New York, paid $800 million for it. But here's the catch, and this is so interesting. This is very unique to New York City, and I know a little bit about it because when we were trying to buy an apartment, which never worked out, and it was never going to work out because partly this reason, you can own a building, even a skyscraper in New York City, and not own the land that the building is on. So, for example, in an apartment, I was looking at an apartment building. The apartment building owners did not own the land underneath. They leased the land, and it was on a 100-year lease. So the lease was coming up, and no one knew how much the owners of the building were going to pay, which means no one knew how expensive it was going to be to live in the apartment. For the Chrysler Building, they own this huge, iconic building. They don't own the land underneath. So what the land lease was previously, according to reports from the Wall Street Journal, was $7 million a year. And remember, you have a lot of offices in the building, so you're paying, people that are renting in the building are helping to pay for the land lease. Now, last year, it went from $7 million to more than $30 million a year. And in a couple of years, it's going to go to $40 million a year. And so if you own the building, you really have to consider whether or not it's worth it for you. And so some are hypothesizing that's why they're selling it. No one knows who's going to buy it. I was checking to see, is it a historic building? Could someone tear it down? I couldn't find any record that the Chrysler Building itself is historic. So I guess someone could hypothetically tear it down, but I'm not sure about that. I found the records about the Chrysler Building actually very difficult to source for some reason. I think it would be easy. So in case you're in the market, you could buy the Chrysler Building. Also, one more thing, it's interesting. I think of course, who wouldn't want to own the Chrysler Building? But the type of renovations you have to do inside an old building, especially in New York City skyscraper, are intense. And apparently, the Empire State Building did this huge renovation a couple years ago, and they had to do very simple things like add an antenna so people with wireless phones could talk on their phone within the building. I mean, this is the type of renovations we're talking about. Pretty interesting, right? So there you go. If you're in the market for the Chrysler Building, it's there. If you think the shutdown is over, it's not. One of the largest teachers union in the country is on strike in LA, but students are still going to school. And there's more interesting Democrats and young Democrats that are joining the Democrat field to see who will win the nomination for president. Have a great day, you guys. Stay warm out there if you're in that area where there's a lot of snow. Stay safe. And let us know what you'd like to see us covering this week on SmartHER News. You can DM me on Instagram or you can email me info@smarthernews.com.